And welcome to Q's on the Move. I am Brother Donald Williams II, the proud 2nd District Chairman for the Fatherhood and Mentoring Committee. On behalf of the District Representative, Brother Rico Gales, the 38th District Representative, he is responsible for 85 chapters and approximately 4,000 Omega men. We welcome you to the 7th year of Q's on the Move. Family, we are so excited. We are elated to have the opportunity to usher in a new year, 2024. The mighty 2nd District of the illustrious Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated is comprised of 5 eastern states: New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland. Our beloved fraternity has a long, glowing, prosperous history with mentoring and community engagement. Our cardinal principles: manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. The motto: friendship is essential to the soul. Let me give a shout out to our state chairman under the Fatherhood and Mentoring Committee. Thank you so much for all you do every day in your community with the importance and meaningful mentoring work. Omega Psi Phi, we are committed to changing the world through mentoring programs. Family, as the nation celebrates the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and reflects on the work our generation must continue to do, I'm reminded of his quote that honors his legacy and ignites a new generation. Here's the quote: "We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. With all that's going on, we must stay alert, stay encouraged, stay in faith, and stay the course with making a difference where we live, work, and raise our family." With that, Brother Jeffrey Diggs, my good friend and co-host, with his welcome remarks.
Thank you, and Happy New Year, and welcome to our 7th season of Q's on the Move. It is a great opportunity to come out here and share what we have to uplift our community, and especially our young men, and especially the fathers. This is one of our great passion is fathers, and yes. So we, just with another great season, please participate in any way you feel necessary. Send us emails, send us a shout out, and but we'll be here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. from 8 until 8:30 every Tuesday for this season. And so with that, I'd like to give our disclosure that all the views reflected in this podcast is that of the individual, doesn't necessarily reflect that of the fraternity or any organization that they may belong to. So with that, Don, let's get started.
Excellent. It's good to see you, my friend. Today, we are extremely excited to kick off the new year with a spotlight on a distinguished, prominent Omega man who has provided outstanding leadership as the inaugural international chairman for the Fatherhood and Mentoring Committee of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. He currently serves as the International Fatherhood Advisor. He is none other than Brother Robert W. Fairchild, Alpha Omega chapter in 1987. 1990, Brother Fairchild was the 3rd District, 18th District Representative. He has served on the international level as the Grand Keeper of Record and Seal. And we are so grateful to him because, in addition, he has served in the United States Army. He's a Vietnam vet. We honor you, my friend, and thank you for your service for this grateful nation. It is my honor and privilege to introduce to some and present to others a man we call Godfather for his wisdom, his expertise, leadership. He's a friend to all. Welcome, Brother Fairchild.
Good evening. Good evening to both of you. be here. Thank you very much for the introduction. Number 17, thank you.
Hey, 17. What an honor. Hey, before we dive into the conversation, and Jeff going to kick off the history part of this conversation, share your thoughts about Martin Luther King, how it's impacted your life, your favorite, however you want to come.
You broke up. I didn't catch the first part of what your question was.
I was saying before we dive into this conversation about the history, can you share your thoughts on Martin Luther King, how it's impacted your life, a quote, a story?
That Martin Luther King definitely was an inspiration. I grew up during the time all of the things were going on, and my folks were very much involved in working the programs and efforts they did, putting stuff together, trying to, give us the rights that we needed, civil rights and everything. And definitely was always impressed with how that whole movement came together, and have tried in my best to spurn the same kind of thought process even today with some of the things that was done during that period of time. Martin Luther King was definitely an inspiration to a lot of people, and I'm glad that we've had the opportunity to honor him, especially with a holiday and all the programs, the day of service, and encourage everybody to be out and participate to pay honor to this man who did an outstanding job for the country.
So, Brother Diggs, so you just go ahead and dive in, reflect, recall, remember the second district history.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great time coming through. Back in, and I can't remember exactly the years right now, but I remember we were both working hard for Omega and pushing through, trying to get this fatherhood thing on the radar, and to have it seen. And during that time, we had a very strong leader coming up by the name of Sherman Charles.
Yes.
And Sherman Charles was our 35th district representative for the second district. And I remember his campaign, he came in and he said he had a 100-day plan on how he was going to change the second district. And he had a great plan. And part of his plan was to include that he decided that fatherhood and mentoring was going to be a standalone committee, no longer a part of social action. And he started that. He made it a standalone committee, got that committee funded. Don was the first, and the only chairman of the second district fatherhood committee. So a lot of years. 7 doesn't represent the number of years. 7 represents the number of years of podcasting. Right. Don was there long before then.
Absolutely.
And so with that history, you're a great part of that history. You're still a part of that history in the making. Has been that champion to move us forth. And with that, and speaking of Martin Luther King, one of the speeches that I loved of his was the one about the drum major.
Mm-hmm.
How everyone wanted to be a drum major, and and part of his speech he had said, if they asked if you were a drum major, say, yeah, but I was a drum major, for justice. I was a drum major for peace. Here I see you two gentlemen as the drum major for this great call to fatherhood and to uplift fathers and fatherhood. And I'll leave it with this saying with our godfather, Brother Fairchild. One of the first statements that he made that so impressed me and really got me going was this saying that they would often look, especially the black males, and they would call them deadbeats.
Yeah.
And I remember Brother Fairchild passionately saying, they're not deadbeat, they're just dead broke. And and that thing resonated with me. And it's like, well, my God, you know what? You're absolutely right. And that added fuel for me to continue on to do this. So with that, gentlemen, back to you.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor, first of all, to be this to do this work, especially with friends like you. It has certainly enhanced my life. So I thank you. We are, Black history. We are living the dream of Martin Luther King. But hey, let's get right to Godfather. Hey, Godfather, you've been around longer than Jeff and myself. So hey, can you tell us, how did fatherhood and mentoring, those two words, come together in the committee? When did it start? Take it away.
When this thing kind of first got started, Brother Tabidi Boone, I guess he was in a session at the White House, and the conversation came up, and the president expressed a desire to have a partnership with fatherhood and mentoring, and Brother Boone brought that back, and I think I was the political action chairman for the third district, and our target was fathers, black men, and boys. So what everybody did, they sent him to me, and that's how we got connected up. And from there, we proceeded to try to pull this whole thing together. We started off with the course in Alpha Omega chapter. We made a presentation there, and the brothers there seemed to like it. The next thing we presented it to the district, the thought process of working this process of fatherhood and mentoring. The district liked it. In fact, we had a couple of Congressman Danny Davis and his support people came out and supported us in that effort and helped us present that to the district. And then eventually we presented it to the conclave in Raleigh. And at the Raleigh conclave, the Supreme Council approved it, and with the help of Brother Norman, and it was presented at the conclave. The conclave approved it. So that's kind of how we got cranked up with it, recognizing the need for both on the fatherhood side and the mentoring side. Both are in our community. We got a we've been mentoring for a while, but to add the fatherhood element to it was a powerful thing, because that gets the whole picture, takes the whole picture. The young men need coaching and counseling, but also the young fathers need help too, and so that puts us in kind of a unique position. Of all the fraternities engaged in mentoring, we were the only one that stepped up and picked up the fatherhood thing. And so we've been doing that ever since, I guess, 2010, 9, 10, somewhere in that time frame, when we kind of got things cranked up.
Excellent. There's a lot I didn't know about that. So I always ask this, Brother Fairchild, what brought you, why this committee? Why this is your favorite committee? You served on all the levels, but you landed in the mentoring space.
Yeah, I've always had this thing about fraternity members working to realize their potential, and I always saw Omega as a very powerful force that has the capability to get a lot of things done. We've done a lot of powerful things in our existence since the very beginning of the fraternity, and even back in the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King. You look at Jesse Jackson and some of those people engaged in that civil rights with Dr. King. We've done some powerful things. This fatherhood mentoring is something no less than really getting involved in the community, reaching out into community. It's kind of unique in the fact that we are engaged not just today, but every day. And that puts it in a unique situation where we can be engaged. And it's men doing it. I've watched a lot of people get excited about the fact that men are engaging and then getting involved. When you say, what kinds of things can we do? What kinds of things can we say? Sharing our thoughts, sharing our ideas helps the next generation. Seems like when we came out of the 60s, we kind of lost a little bit of that, because a lot of people felt like, well, I don't want my kids to go through what I went through. But sometimes you need to go through a little stuff just to feel the pain, so you understand it's out there. Don't pretend it's not there.
Right.
And so by engaging in fatherhood and mentoring, we fill in a lot of spaces for single parents. Love women to death. Women do a great job of, raising kids, but it really takes a man to teach a boy how to be a man. To
Uh-oh,
know,
watch out now.
and it's one of those kind of things where I know more than I can teach a girl how to be a woman. There are just things I don't know about that, and
Absolutely.
same thing on the side. But really, when you put it all down, if the family was together, then that's not an issue because both sides of the house get what they need. The mother's there, the father's there. So the ultimate idea, even with the fatherhood and mentoring effort, was to try to draw things back to some sort of semblance of a family, and especially for the kids. The idea that the target audience in this thing was the kids, to really be there to get them on point so they could go up and have a full, wholesome life, not fall to the shortfall that came as a result of a broken family. A lot of things a lot of systems in our country kind of lead to that. The welfare thing led to that.
Mm-hmm.
Single parents just not getting along, that led to that. All of those kinds of things led to the negative side. So what our effort has been is to try to bring it back to the positive side. And I applaud the brothers for their engagement. I applaud the brothers for their constant uh, stick to itness. I mean, sometimes it's a little difficult, sometimes a little foreign for some of them, and sometimes they have to. I don't want to use the term browbeat them, but sometimes you have to take a little bit of that. But when they get engaged, I've seen this over and over and over again. When they do finally get engaged, man, they engage full speed ahead, and that's a very, very positive, strong, good thought process right there.
Yeah, we saw that with your brother Eric Johnson, with his fatherhood meetings that he had started last year with Alpha Omega chapter at various churches there in the DMV. So, I mean, so we had churches there in in Maryland and DC. But the conversation to engage with these fathers was absolutely amazing, because just having that conversation and having the youngsters in the room, that was very, very powerful because these youngsters going to grow up to be great fathers because they see it's not an easy job.
Yeah, many years ago, probably about 10, 12 years ago, I had to go through a session as a result of my tenure in Vietnam. And they called it coping skills. And it brought men together to talk. I picked up something from that. That is a powerful, powerful tool when men share their thoughts with each other. So I started suggesting that we should start doing that. And like it's always amazing. Women are great at it. I mean, they got that down to a fine science. You don't have to tell the women to talk through their problems. Guys won't do it. I'm okay. I'm all right. And they're not really. But to get guys to talk, and the conversation starts off slow, and I've seen it out of everybody's experience. They'll say it'll start off slow, but you let that conversation get going, and then it's hard to shut them up. I know you were one of them, and you saw this situation where a son, what really makes you feel good when a son gets up and talks about his father,
Yes.
and then the father gets up and talks about his son.
Mm.
That's a powerful conversation, man. Now, it ain't a powerful conversation for them because they've already had the conversation. It's a powerful conversation for the guy sitting in the room
Yes.
because they can see it. You try to tell somebody about something, but when you can experience it, that's a whole nother story. That's
Yeah.
a whole nother story. And it's such a powerful tool to communicate like that. I mean, more and more around the country, you see more and more people. I've had people come back to me and say, "Oh, that was a great idea. We'll slow on the uptake, but man, that's a powerful thing." So that's just one aspect of what we're doing in the father and mentor thing. There's so many other things we're doing, getting involved with the community, getting involved with social services. A lot of locations have gotten hooked into services where the social service people get excited because number one, they don't have a lot of manpower. They don't have a lot. They've got resources, they got funding, but they don't have manpower. So when we walk in the door saying we'll help out, they get excited. And in some cases, I've seen it where they almost turn the program over to the fraternity. You guys do it. We'll fund you. You just tell us what you want to do. And
Yes.
I'm seeing that happen more and more because people are recognizing that's a hole in the wall that needs to be filled. to bring families together in some sort of ways is a powerful thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that the male and the female have to always come together, but they have to come together for the kid. They have to work together for the kid. I've seen fathering court. That's another way of going at it, trying to provide something so that the mother and the father come together for the benefit of the kid. And so that helps to make that family whole again. You got to fill that space up for the kid. The bottom line is making sure that next generation knows what to do. If I never show you how to be a father, if I never show you how to be a mother, then how you going to learn? You're going to start making it up, and you get all kind of crazy things. So it's very, very important in what we do. Like I say, I applaud us for the effort. I applaud us for the work, and encourage us to continue. Don't even think about stopping doing this stuff.
You mentioned about having to go through some of the training and counseling sessions. Me being there firsthand with you, and as watching you work this thing as a master, and I'm sitting back and one of the sessions, I think one of the first sessions I went to, one of the things that I started putting pieces together was saw these Black fathers suffering from depression because of their separation from their children. And as veterans, we know depression is a monster. It calls us to do some strange things. And but it's great that we could recognize that and then get those resources to help, because if a father's depressed, he may not go to work. Now he's got another label he's got to deal with.
I remember a session that Brother Boone and I held with a group in DC called, the group is called Second Genesis. There's about 40 men in that group. And I will tell you what, they got to talking and crying and talking and crying. And some of those were returning citizens, wanting to be engaged, wanting to figure out how they could get back engaged with their parents. So there was an agreement there that they will all work together to work themselves in a situation where they could be back with their families in some sort of way. And they made that commitment to do that. And that turned out to be a very powerful rehab thought process. Yes, we talk about post-traumatic stress. Yes, when you go to do parties, go apart from each other. And yes, when you pull that family apart, everybody's suffering from post-traumatic stress. The kids suffering from it. Everybody's suffering from it. So helping the people understand the value of bringing the two, putting that all back together is a powerful thing. You cannot leave these kids out here to fend for themselves. I mean, I've sat through some sessions also listening to some of the concerns of some of the young men. I was in a session about 2 weeks ago, which was scary because the question came up about drugs. Have you seen anybody in your friends or anybody have anybody died from an overdose? Every one of those kids held their hands up. Then somebody said, well, have you seen anybody killed as a result of gun violence? Every single one of those kids held their hands up. In fact, a mother was sitting next to me. Her son had gotten killed the week before. And so but the mere fact that we were having that conversation with them, man, those kids really received that very well. They thought this was the greatest thing, that you guys are taking the time to be with us and listen to what we got to say. Because what we were after, what's on your mind? That was what we were after. What is on your mind? Let's talk and figure out how we can help you. What do you need us to do? What do you want us to do? And it was a powerful, powerful conversation. So, but a lot of this is really a matter of communicating. The biggest issue is communicating.
Yes.
So when you facilitate that kind of thought process, it has some powerful results can come out of just sitting down and having a conversation. The young people look forward to it. They look forward to the dialogue. They look forward to the sessions. Okay, but again, when you see young fathers sitting in there, you see that aha moment go, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Man, now you feel like you really did something there when they get an aha moment.
No, Brother Fairchild, the young people. How about sharing the future dads? How did that come about? And
Future dads is something I used to advise Alpha chapter at Howard University. I did that for 25 years. Wow. But one of the things that a young brother came up. The Alpha chapter, the guys got together one day and said, we want to do a thing and talk about dads. And I said, okay, let's talk about that. So what do you want to talk about? And I thought about it. I said, you know what? That's an interesting thing. Nobody talks about what it takes to be a dad. So I said, I think it's been important. And it initially aimed at college students.
Right.
But you got to figure out eventually, most of us going to be a dad. So let's talk about it a little bit. Let's talk about the experiences that you had as a dad, what things you liked, what you didn't like, and what does it take. So we started doing that. That's how they got cranked up. Then we started pushing it out to the undergrads as was part of the undergrad summit session. And we started spreading around the country with the chapters, and we asked the advisors to facilitate. We did. In fact, the undergrads helped to put the agenda together. The idea was to bring a middle-aged, young, older father, different layers, and then some young people together, and have the conversation. Let them share their experiences, and then talk about, did you have a father in your life? You ask that one question.
Oh,
man,
my.
I'll tell you what, you'll see some interesting things. And then to sit there and see, one of the things that came out of the session, which I thought was really interesting, we were talking about what you go to college and you're going to have fun, you see this, and all of a sudden you might meet a young lady, you get hooked up with that young lady. Next thing you know, you guys are doing your thing, and next thing you know, she is pregnant. Now, how do you deal with that?
Yes.
Now, you got to figure, mom and daddy sent you to go to school, get education. You sent both of y'all to school to get education. Now they're trying to figure out how to deal with that. Okay. So now it becomes a traumatic situation for both parties. All right. So I asked the question. I said, by the way, how many of you guys in here are fathers? I was shocked at the number of young men that held their hands up. 18, 19-year-old young fathers. So that's why we started doing the Future Dads program. Future Dads would say, let me get you prepared. Watch out when you go to college. Look for these kinds of things. These are the kind of things we said. And I said, started in the mentoring. When we started mentoring, tell these young men, this is you. Don't assume they're not going to be fathers. Some people say, assume they're going to be a father. Most people and young people will be a father. Here's what you got to look out for. We need to know everything we can about, that's part of life, guys. I don't understand why people have a little difficulty with it. That's a part of life. Being a young person, eventually, if you keep breathing, you're going to be an old person. Okay? So it's nothing wrong with learning how to do it. Why do I have to get there and then learn how to do it? Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about the kinds of things to look out for so it can warn you. Ain't no sense you making mistakes on the spot. You don't have to. So that's why we started doing the Future Dads thing.
Real talk there, Jeff. Real talk. We're coming toward the end here.
Yeah, I was trying to be careful. I don't want to.
No, you're doing excellent. Excellent.
I think it's this whole thought process of engaging in father-son communication is just such a powerful thing. And I think, it should be a way of life for us. I know in Africa, you go rites of passages and all that kind of stuff. That's a way of life. It should be a way of life for us. That's automatic. It shouldn't be something I got to think about or something I have to don't want to do. So it should be a part of our life.
Look, we got to come to a close here. As we walk down memory lane, Brother Fairchild, what comes to your mind? The first thing that comes to your mind upon seeing this picture?
I'm trying. That's interesting. Yeah.
New Jersey.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's all right. A lot of bridges have been crossed. A lot of things have been done. I'll just say this to anybody that has ever been engaged. I thank everybody. Back that picture up. Yeah, that's the shot we did with President Obama during the centennial. And unfortunately, a lot of those gentlemen in that picture are not with us now. But that was a memorable occasion, and President Obama was just excited all out to get out to thank us for doing the father and mentoring thing.
Well, as we come to close on Cues on the Move, Brother Fairchild, Godfather, much love and respect, man. Thank you for your wisdom and most of all, thank you for your friendship. So, Jeff, as we celebrate Martin Luther King next week, his call to action, equality and fierce urgency of now. I think I'll close with one of these quotes. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people. Jeff, closing remarks.
I thank you so much, gentlemen. You guys continue to inspire me every day as we go out and try to inspire our fathers. Just Godspeed to you two gentlemen and to the brothers of the fraternity, that to continue to be the tip of the spear. And brothers, let's go out there and just make a difference in the community. It's just by being the rock. You may not have you don't necessarily have to be an expert at anything. None of us show up to be an expert as a father. We just do what we can while we're there. We just remain present. And I think
with that, family, we'll see you next Tuesday. This is a new year. We're excited to be here in 2024. You'll hear more about making mentoring work on next Tuesday. And until that time, Godfather, thank you so much. My cohort, thank you. See you on Q's on the Move.